It's extraordinary to be talking to you, Sarah, today. You are really a role model for many people. Could you please introduce yourself and what do you do for business?
Yes, my name is Sarah Hayes, and I'm currently unemployed. I was laid off due to the virus, the world shutting down and all that stuff. But right now I'm just filling my time finding things for my children to do. They are actors and models, and I'm constantly researching, networking, getting them into their workshops, finding film projects. My youngest son has already done 5 movies in less than a year. He's only 11 years old. We keep very busy. We just got done recording a movie about 2 weeks ago with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm their manager.
that is so interesting. It's like you are building a movie star in the future.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. He already knows. He said, I'm going to Hollywood. There's no question about it. Not, I hope to, I wish to. He said, I'm going. Yeah. We all need to be more like him.
Great. Let's go to something to your past. Like what happened at your birth?
When I was born, kind of an interesting story. My parents were big hippies. I was going to be born at home. My parents lived in a teepee and everything. My mother was seeing a midwife, and her best friend was also pregnant at the same time. And my mom went into labor. They went to go find the midwife. They found her at the friend's house. So basically, we were both born at the exact same time. It was November 22nd. It was the day before Thanksgiving, and the midwife was running back and forth between both rooms, and we were actually physically being born at the exact same time.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
Could you please, Sarah, explain what is a teepee?
A teepee is a traditional Native American home. It's kind of a tent in the middle of the forest.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So what was your life like with your parents at this time?
At this time, I was very young. They split up when I was 4, but we just lived off the grid. I have horrible memories of taking a bath in the freezing creek in the winter. Even the smell of the shampoo just like brings back like these like horrible experiences. It wasn't all bad. It was interesting. I was potty trained with an outhouse. We didn't even have electricity or running water. We lived in a log cabin at one point. We just lived off the grid. We weren't around people. We just lived in the middle of the forest and grew our own food. My mom made our clothes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so nice. Okay, let's go to the next point. Why and when did you have the custody of your sister?
I got guardianship of her when she was 13. I was 20. After my parents split up and my mom had met my sisters, her half sisters, my mom was an alcoholic. It was a really rough life. I ended up moving with my dad when I was about 14. And when I left, I really didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave my sister, but my aunt promised me that she would keep an eye on her because we couldn't live with my mom. I mean, it wasn't a safe environment for us to be in. So my aunt had her for a little while. I was in high school. I was young. My aunt started having a lot of trouble with her because, you know, she had problems. My sister did, and she took her back to my mom's. And I wasn't okay with it. I didn't want her there. It wasn't safe for her. I wanted to protect her. So I brought her to live with me and my husband. We weren't married at the time. We were young, but we were already together. We were dating, and I brought her to live with us.
Was that a good decision you made?
Yes, it was a good decision. I just wish that I would have done things differently. She did really well at first. She like genius. I don't know what her IQ is, but she graduated high school when she was 17. She was in college. She was managing a pizza place. She was very ambitious, very, very smart. I just, she had problems, and I was 20 years old, and what do I know about raising a 13-year-old? You know, I didn't have any kids. I was a kid myself, and I didn't do everything right. I mean, I did the best I could, and I do have a lot of regrets, but it was the right decision. I just wish that I would have done things differently.
Yeah. Okay. Does this tell you that you have like a parenting sense or a more parenting responsibility?
Yes, I feel like I was put on this earth to take care of people. I just was. I have an older brother. You know, he kind of was off doing his own thing, and then I have she was born that just kind of took her my wing. She was my baby. And then I had my youngest sister who was, she was 7 years younger than me. And she wasn't getting what she needed from my mom. So I did step up. Like if she was crying in her crib, I knew I had a top bunk. I couldn't bring her up on my bed. It wasn't safe. So I would just get in the crib and sleep with her and just cuddle with her. When she got a little bit older, then I would just bring her in my bed and I would just, you know, sleep with her in my arms. That's just what we did. And very deep motherly instinct for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go to your studies. What difficulties have you been through to complete your college?
Well, it was kind of, I wish I didn't go at the right time. I do know that because I have a degree that I don't touch. It's just, I have a degree and I don't use it for anything. I didn't know what I wanted to do with life. I just kind of went to college because that's what you do when you graduate. But because of some circumstances, I had to leave home, my father's home, when I was a senior in high school. I was pretty much forced to move in with my boyfriend at the time. We had been dating for like 2 weeks. I mean, he had a crush on me for like a year. I knew him for a long time, but we had just kind of got, but I didn't have a place to live, and I ended up moving in with him when we were still in high school. Then I went to college, you know, the time I was supposed to, but it was just hard because I was trying to be a mom to my sister. I worked full time. I went to school full time. Environment we lived in wasn't the best environment. There was a lot of, we did the best that we could there, but there was a lot of drugs and things going on in that house that we shouldn't have been exposed to, but we were. We were. I still Dean's List, still made A's in college, got through it, but it was difficult because I was trying to raise a 13-year-old. You know, I was trying to be a good example for her. It was rough, but I got through it, and then me and my husband got married and had our first son, and you know, life got different. It got a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Let me, sorry to say this, but let me ask you a difficult question. Where and why do you feel you failed your sister?
Because when she was 19 years old, she committed suicide. Thank you. It was 2005. It's been almost 15 years. Still takes my breath away. I lost my baby. That I didn't just lose my sister. I know some people don't understand because people do lose siblings, but she was my responsibility. I took care of her, and I wish that I could have done a lot of things differently. And then maybe she wouldn't have made the decision that she made to sit down in front of the oncoming train. She got pregnant when she was 15 and had an abortion. And I know that really, really hurt her. She made the decision. I didn't know. I didn't have any kids. I didn't know the impact that it would have on her. But ultimately, I believe that she committed suicide because she killed her baby. And if I would have done things differently, like maybe I could have kept the baby until she was ready to be a mom, and then she wouldn't have ended up where she was, because she got on drugs really bad after that, really, really bad. She was in the hospital, I'd say about 4 different times for suicide attempts. First time she attempted suicide was actually before the abortion. She was 14 then. And she was in the hospital for a while. I actually stayed in the hospital with her. I slept in the hospital bed with her. I didn't leave her side. And she was okay, but she was just a broken little girl. And I wish that I could have done more to fix her, to help her, because I know when you're 19, life's difficult, but you can get through difficulties, and she had her whole future ahead of her. Things could have gotten better, but we never, she never had the chance to find out.
Yeah. Oh, okay, let me ask you another question here. Like,
okay.
You were 18, you were young, you couldn't take the best of decisions in this situation. Like, who should have done that?
Well, obviously her parents should have, but they made it very clear from day one that they were not going to, which is why I did what I did. It makes me really angry at them, because it shouldn't have been on me, but it was on me because somebody had to do it. And yeah, I get so angry at them when I really start to think about it. And I blame them for her death. And maybe that's not exactly the right way to think. I try not to hold grudges because it only hurts me to hold a grudge, but I'm very, very sensitive about that. I was actually diagnosed with PTSD after, shortly at her. It was a little while. It took I had a long, difficult time, and then I finally got the diagnosis with PTSD about 5 years ago. And it wasn't just her death. It was everything. It wasn't rainbows and lollipops, it was like very traumatic and stressful since day one. Her death was just like the end result. So yeah, it does. It makes me really angry at my parents, at my mom and her dad. And whenever I had my kids, then it made me even more angry, because I knew how much I loved them, and how could you make the decision to not love your children, to not do what's best for them, to not do everything in your power to make them have a good life? I don't understand that, because I love my kids, I want only good things for them, and I do everything in my power to make them feel loved and to help them grow into good adults, to become good people. And I don't understand when people don't make those decisions like that.
Okay, let's rephrase this or summarize this idea. Like, what kind of responsibility should parents give or hold to their children at this age?
At what age? When my sister was younger?
Yeah.
Well, just they need to feel loved. And money doesn't have anything. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter. Vacations, nice clothes, none of that. Like, if you just feel loved, that's all you need. You have a roof over your head and food on the table. And I can tell you so many times where I had to steal food stamps. I don't know if you know what that is. I don't know if you guys have that where you are, but it's like government funding to pay for food for poor people. But we got the government food stamps, and I would steal them from my mom because she was drunk and wouldn't go to the store. And I would go make sure that my sisters had food. I would try to make it special, like let them pick out one thing that they really wanted. And it was never anything big, but simple food. Like, all they had to do is make sure that she had food. I don't even understand why that was so difficult.
Let's move to another point. What happened to you at your second son's birth?
Well, it kind of goes back to my first son, because I know you can't tell. I am a very small person. I am feet 1 inch tall, and I weigh about 100 pounds. My first son was 9 pounds and 22 inches. I didn't realize, but that's a really big baby. I found out later. But so I think basically he just messed everything up in there. And then so when my second son was in there, it just caused all kinds of problems. I started having contractions at 15 weeks. I was on bed rest. They were trying to have me take medication to keep him in. I was in the hospital 8 times. The 8th time, I finally did have him. I had to have C-sections, like surgery to have the babies. And when he was born, he was still 7'14", even though he was premature. He was still a big baby. They said he would have been 10 pounds if I carried him fully, but I didn't know he wasn't being, and they couldn't tell me what was going on because I had a big incision in my stomach, and if I got scared, then I would have started bleeding, and they couldn't let me panic because I was I was open, and so my husband was over there watching my son not being able to breathe, looking at me, smiling at him. I'm happy because we just had a baby, and he said it was so hard because he couldn't let me know that our son was not breathing, and it took him a minute. After they got him breathing, he was okay. He had some health issues when he was younger, bronchial spasms. He was in the hospital. He just quit breathing once when he was little. There's a lot of gastrointestinal problems, celiac disease, which doesn't have anything to do with that. But it was a rough, traumatic start. And to find out after the fact that my baby was laying there not breathing, and I didn't even know, it was a weird feeling. But he's good now. He's healthy. He'll be 12 years old on the 23rd of this month.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Good. Let's move to a quite philosophical question here. Like, you couldn't focus on what you need, on your own needs, until you have seen your sons being successful.
Yes.
Let me link this. Like, does the success of your sons compensate for the previous failures? Like, did you need proof that you could achieve something, and you made other people successful until you could forgive yourself?
Probably. It's still kind of hard for me now because it sounds like I spent my entire life taking care of other people, helping other people.
Yeah.
I just kind of, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Go ahead.
Okay. Just because I was always focusing on other people, I never took the time to focus on myself. And it almost made me feel guilty. Like if I was working on myself, doing something that I wanted to do just for me, then it felt like I was taking away from other people that needed me to help them. And I mean, just, I guess with my past, I had a lot of confidence issues. I didn't, I wasn't very confident, didn't feel good about myself a lot of times. But then when they started being successful with their modeling and acting and stuff, and I was like, wait a minute, I made them, I grew them. And like, so it kind of was my success because I'm the one that made those people. So I was like, wait a minute, I did something good. And they just keep moving forward. And then it kind of changes the way that I think, because like if you don't try, you don't know what's going to happen. And they're so confident that they just try anything and they're succeeding. And I'm like, I can do that too. I can try. And what's to say that I can't succeed too? And, so I'm kind of, I've always wanted to be a model ever since I was really young. And now that they're getting into it, it's really exciting for me. But it's kind of like even though I'm 41 years old right now, I take very good care of myself. I work out all the time, and I just did a fitness photo shoot recently, and I'm actually getting a lot of attention for that, like modeling attention. And I would never have done that a couple years ago because I didn't even feel good about myself. And now with their success, it just made me feel so much more confident. And it's helped us all, our whole family.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Let's say like sometimes people need like realistic proof to be able to move to the next step.
Yes, exactly. That is exactly true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I, very much see that with what I'm going through now based on what I'm witnessing them go through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very nice. What's your kitchen vision board?
Okay, I actually set up right here. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah,
This is it. Okay, yeah. So we've carried this around for the past couple of years. It's just whatever we want in life. I don't know if you can see. Let's see. I don't think you can see, but like my son has his little Hollywood sign here, like that's in Los Angeles because he's going to go to Hollywood. I have my castle, the mansion castle that I want. I have it on there so I can look at it every day and work towards it. It's just anything you want. You just put it up there and then you can look at it and focus on it. And the more you focus on it, the more real it can be.
Yeah, like, is it something like related to the law of attraction or something psychological?
It is. Yes, it is very much the law of attraction. We try not to have any negative thinking in our house. So I can tell you the law of attraction. My husband was a police officer. We struggled financially. It was a very difficult life because it's a hard job. It's not for a family person to have a job like that. But he decided that he wanted to do better, and so he started living like he was already making six figures, and he was reading the books, doing every single thing, working towards it, and it's just your state of mind. He's like, I'm going to do this, and he's like imagining it, picturing it, and now he makes six figures, and he's only, he's Monday through Friday, and my husband is actually home. I'm not taking care of the kids by myself, and it's the law of attraction. He knew that he could. He imagined. He said, by the time I'm 40, I want to make over $100,000. He's 39, and it's because he knew that he was going to. He had that in his head, so he focused on it, and it happened. And that's kind of like with Xander, my almost 12-year-old, with his acting. I always ask him when he has an audition, are you nervous? He's like, no, I'm going to get the part. And like, he has it in his head. He's going to get the part. And he has never not gotten the part because he knows, like, that's what it's in his head. He knows he's going to get the part, and he's imagining it, and it happens. And so we're firm believers. You want something, you think about it hard enough, it's going to happen.
So interesting. What happened at your son's first audition?
Well, that's kind of like the law of attraction too, because somebody told me about his first movie. It was actually a year ago. It was last July when he filmed his first movie. Somebody told me about it. I read about it, and it said you had to be ages 12 to 18, and he was 10 at the time. And I was like, well, I'll just get information just to see what happens. And they sent me information, and I told them, I said, well, my son is only 11, or he's only 10. I know he's not old enough, but he wants to be an actor. He wants to go to Hollywood. He has these really big goals. And if you have anything for him, I'd really appreciate it, even though he wasn't old enough. And he said, yeah, go ahead and bring him. And I brought him. There were, I don't even know how many kids there, teenagers. He was the only child there. Everyone else was teenagers. And he auditioned, got the part, and now he has filmed 5 movies in a year. And it's all based on, if I never would have reached out, because it said he wasn't old enough. And I was like, well, what's the most I can do? Say no? And they didn't say no. But if I didn't try, that never would have happened.
Sure.
So that's kind of what we're doing with everything, because you never know. I mean, you just try and it might not work out, but it might.
Yeah, sure. Why not? This leads into the next question. Like, you say everything is a choice. What do you mean by that?
Well, you know, with my past, I could be in a very, very different place. I could be curled up in a ball in my bed and cry, you know, but I don't. I choose to get out of bed every day. I choose to be happy. That's the biggest thing. I choose to be happy. I choose to not let my past hinder me. I learned so much from it. I learned about what not to do. I learned a lot about myself and who I wanted to be because of my experiences, and I just keep making the choice to move forward and do better.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Okay, how did you get your past out of your way? Which is a very important question.
It's not completely out of my way. I mean, it's still there. And my issues creep up sometimes. You know, just happy all the time. That's not possible. But I just decided that I want a better life. And I'm not going to allow my past to hold me down. I'm not going to let it hold me back. I'm going to do everything in my power to be happy. And if I always focus on my past, then that's not going to happen, because when I do start thinking about it, I get really angry. I do get upset, and I just, I don't know. It's a hard question. When I was diagnosed with PTSD, it actually helped because I felt crazy. I always felt crazy. Like there's something wrong with me. Like, you know, and I couldn't really put it into words, but when I was diagnosed with PTSD, then it made sense. Like that's the best thing they could have said, because that's kind of like, it's not a chemical imbalance. It's an injury, you know, and it's an injury that can be fixed. It's not something that I was just born with that, you know, I can overcome it. So like even that diagnosis helped me understand the way my life had been, the way my brain works. And it's kind of funny, you found me through social media, but I post my workout videos and all my fitness journey all the time. And that actually helps a lot, because I work really hard and I'm really proud of my body. And I'm really, I spend a lot of focus on, you know, my muscles, you know, just like being healthy and like being fit. And I like to inspire people. So I've just putting all my fitness information on social media has really been life-changing for me, because I'm getting a lot of positive feedback. Thank you so much for doing this. You really inspire me. You know, will you write me a workout? Like help me on my diet and all that stuff. And it just makes me feel so good, because it is really important to me to, you know, just for me, for my own health, but I like helping people. I like to show people what's possible.
Okay, let me ask you a question here. Like in the past, the world had his back towards you, like you suffered through everything. Now the world is starting to open its arms towards you again. Do you feel reconciled to the world and to yourself?
Do I feel what? I'm sorry?
Reconciled?
Yes and no. I believe that the world has nothing to do with it. I believe that I am where I am because I chose to be where I am. I did this. I recovered. I can appreciate the world more. I am enjoying the world more, but it just makes me feel good. I just feel like I accomplished something because I overcame so much, and I am living a very happy life. I have a wonderful husband. We've been married for almost 18 years. In October will be 18 years. You know, we have a very good relationship. I have 2 beautiful children, and I did this. I created this life, and because of the choices I made, and I just want to pat myself on the back and tell everyone, you know, anything's possible if you choose to do it.
Yeah. Let me ask you another question here. Like, what do you need from the world to be able to forgive it?
Well, the world is really messed up right now. So with all the virus stuff and all that, everything that's been happening the past 6 months. So it's not really a good time to ask right this second. But in the future, when things calm back down, I think that I just want to feel free. I don't want to feel weighed down by any of the past trauma. And with all this modeling and acting stuff, I really feel like it's giving me that. It's like showing me what really is out in the world, what we can really do. And I guess, you know, that world is opening up to us, and it is making me view the world a lot differently, through different people's eyes, through different experiences and everything. And I feel a change going on in me, and for the most part, I do forgive, like I said, until I start putting too much thought into it, and then I get angry. So I just look forward, get through the day, every day, with a smile on my face. And that's what I do.
It has been so interesting to talk to you, Sarah, today. I really appreciate your being here today. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you very much.